Thursday morning, everyone. For those who are in this side of the world, good morning. For those who are on the other side of the world, good evening, good afternoon. I hope you're having an incredible, inspiring time. This is Art2Heart. And today I am really honored, excited, touched, and everything inspired to present to you our artist, Lize Kruger. And Lisa, did I say that right? Did I? Did
Lisa,
I?
Lisa,
Okay.
it's fine.
And she's gonna share her story. She's gonna share her works. She is a very inspiring artist, and I'm really happy to have you with us, Lisa. Thank you for this moment. Thank you for this time. Welcome to Art to Heart.
Thank you so much, Viviana. Thank you for having me. It's a
Yes.
thank you.
And my question is always the same at the beginning of every interview. The reason is because it's always a different answer and it's always something that people need to know, need to hear, and other artists are eager to hear also. So, how was your journey? How did you start in the arts?
Viviana, I come from a very creative family. My father's sisters were all either painters or fashion designers. And my father's older sister, I was about 10, 11, and she was visiting us. She was what I called a spinster at that stage. And she saw that I was drawing, and she went out, got me a drawing pad and oil pastels, and that was just the beginning. And I remember, I think I was about 11, and my father sent me to a lady, a very talented lady in our town, to attend oil painting classes. And I was the only child amongst all these ladies, and sitting behind the easel,
Wow.
uh, I think they tend to forget about me. So, so I will come home in the afternoons and tell my mom all kinds of gossip. And she would say, "Where did you hear that?" And I said, "No, from the art classes." And yes, that's how it started. And I've studied BA Fine Arts in South Africa. And yes, after my studies, I worked from home, painted, having art classes from home, teaching. And then in 2008, my only son passed away. And I just put my brushes down. Creativity went out of the window.
Oh. Mm.
And yes, I just never imagined myself ever painting again, because you know how strong we are with smells and association.
Yes.
And one of the things that he really loved was when he come home from school, he would say, I smell turps. My mum is working. And he just
Oh
loved
my
it.
goodness. Yeah.
When I had exhibitions, he couldn't wait for the invitation cards to be available so that he could take it to his teachers and give it to everybody.
He was
So
proud
that,
of you.
yes, you know, that very was very proud. My exhibitions was always, you could say it was his own. He made it his own. But, you know, those strong associations and memory with smell was paralyzing to me. So the smell of, well, actually, I did have an exhibition 2 years after his passing as a homage to him. But after that, it was done. Uh,
Mm.
because that smell was just too much for me. Because to me, it emphasized his absence in such a profound way that I couldn't do it for almost 11 years. So I actually started to work just before lockdown in 2019. No, in 2018, I resumed my career when, I don't know if you know, the Lost Gardens of Heligan is quite a very popular and garden in the UK.
Mhm.
And the directors gave me a commission for the centenary celebrations. And I was a nervous wreck. I didn't believe I could do anything anymore. But I have this donkey mentality. If somebody gives me a challenge, I will do it, even if I don't sleep for a year, because that's exactly what happened. I had I think about 18 months to prepare for it. And I had to do a lot of research. And I was very, how can I say it? In the beginning, I felt a bit scared, and I think I had a bit of an imposter syndrome coming from
Mm,
South Africa. And this was we also fought in the First World War, but we didn't have that as a celebration or a day that we really honored, the Remembrance Day on the 9th of November. And or was it 11th of November? The exhibition was on the 9th. The actual Remembrance Day is the 11th of November. And I felt, who am I to come here and do this? It was such an honor, and to do this and still be authentic.
mm,
And I did my research, and I went to Belgium, and I went to France, and all the battlefields and the memorials. And I just connected in such a huge way that it really shook me, because all these young men, the average age was the age of my son when he.
mm.
So I became the mum of all these boys. I became the sister of all these boys because I lost my only brother as well. And it just shook me out of my. We call the exhibition "No Time to Don't Come Here to Sleep or Slumber," and it was actually, a very personal. It could have been a personal mantra as well, because that commission just shook me out of my sleep and slumber, and that's where it
Wow.
started again. And I'm very grateful for that, because I don't know if I would have had the courage to do it on
Right.
my own again.
Yeah, I think you would have. I think you would have. You're that courageous. I'm thinking of you. How was that? I mean, if you don't mind me asking, how was that experience? Like that very first experience of getting back in front of that canvas and getting this. I mean, what you say about association with smells is very strong. I have it. It's
Mm,
like I have it. There's smells or food, and they just
mm,
transport you there, and it's
immediately.
such a challenge if it's a sad memory,
Mm,
right? If
mm,
it's sorrow, it's just gonna come up. So I
mm.
think some of it probably was reflected, right, in
Yes,
that work.
yes. And I think, the way I went about it with that specific commission was um, to keep him in mind all the time as well. And there were 13 gardeners at the garden at that stage in 1914 who went to war. And to me, he became one of the soldiers. And I
Mm,
worked him into the works. And so it was actually such a healing process as well. So,
wow. I think the universe has very mysterious ways of waking us up
absolutely.
when we need to follow our purpose.
Yeah.
Is going to wake you up
Mm,
one way or another,
mm. I never
right?
expected it, to be, but actually, I must tell you one very precious moment that I had. I don't know if you've seen on my website my logo.
Yes, I was gonna ask you about that. The
It is,
robin.
yes, it
Yeah.
is. Shortly after his passing, I started a painting on him just for my own. I just needed to do that. And during that time, I had a glass studio, and there was one of the garden chairs was standing next to one of the windows. And while I was working on this, I just heard it tip, 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 and looked back or turned around, and there was this little robin on the chair I don't know if it was his own image that he was, or he was trying to get my attention. But for the period that I worked, and it was a work about him, a portrait of him. And while I was working on that work, that robin came every day. And since,
Oh,
and since then, I had this special relationship. I think all of us do have a relationship with the robin because it is their symbol. They symbolize rebirth.
yes.
And I for my own sanity, I really had to believe my son is still out there. He's part of me. He will always be part of me. But when when I went to the Lost Gardens of Heligan to meet up with the directors there, Alex Smith, one of them, took me out on the grounds to familiarize me with everything and the whole story. I read the book, so I knew a bit of what it was about. And by the end of the tour, so we were winding down, and I was walking behind everyone with my camera and trying to get as much info about the physical environment as well. And there was this little robin walking along me.
Wow.
And when I stopped, he stopped. And when I walked again, he walked again. And there were moments that he was absolutely almost on my shoe. And it was such a profound moment. And we went home, and I said to my husband, I know I'm going to get this job. And Francois confirmed it to me, my son, in that way. And you won't believe it, it's 2 years later. The exhibition, the opening on the 9th of November 2018, it was a stormy night. It was a terrible, terrible storm in Cornwall. And it was pouring down. They almost cancelled the exhibition. But because of that, everybody was just hoarded into an area that's not the gallery area where it was because it was too small. And my youngest daughter was standing behind me. And so it was inside. It was terrible weather. And I just saw something out of the corner of my eye, and I looked up. And on one of the, what do you call it? Uh,
Wow.
anyway, there was this little robin, totally, totally unexpected. And I just, you know, it literally took my breath away. And my daughter followed my eyes, and she said she just saw immediately what I saw, and she just grabbed me from behind. And it was such an emotional moment, but it was like a full circle. And his life to me was like a full circle. Um, so it was a very precious moment. Maybe it's my imagination, everything, but to me, it meant it
Yeah.
was
I
a big
mean,
deal.
do you know that I strongly believe that our loved ones connect with us one way or another?
I do.
And I have heard, I don't know if you ever heard of Dr. Wayne Dwyer.
Yes, yes, I've read all his books.
Yeah. So when he passed, I remember his children saying that one of his daughters, that every time she would go, she felt this. It was this butterfly would
Mm.
come in, and she felt that it was, that was a way of communicating.
Communicating, yes. Yeah.
So I mean, only God knows, right? But we feel it. I think it's here. We feel it. We know. But
Yes.
it's such a beautiful story, and I think what I love most about it is that it got you back to your passion.
Mm.
It got you back to creating because your work is amazing
Well, thank
and it needs to be seen. So it would be a shame if you didn't go back. So I'm really happy about that.
you.
Yeah. So how would you define your style? I'm gonna share a little bit, but before we share it, I want you to describe it a little bit, just to intrigue our audience here.
I intrigue myself because I don't know how to describe it. Um, the method, Viviana, is I'm traditionally educated in oil painting, but in 2000, no, last year, lockdown, I discovered my iPad, and So I developed an interdisciplinary method where I will work in oils, or drawings or etchings, and transfer it to my iPad, work on that, add layers or older work, and see what comes out of that. So I heavily rely on the accidental um, elements
Mm-hmm.
and see what comes out of that. So I will usually start with an image, and I always say I exhaust it. I see what it can bring me and how many messages I can relay with that. I don't know if it's a good thing, but I
No, I think I'm gonna share here because I hear people asking. Hold on. I think anything that you feel about your art is a good thing. So let's start there, right? Let's start there because I love the accidental. Not I don't call it accidental. I think it's the allowing. I would say the
yeah,
allowing,
yeah,
right?
yes, yeah, that
The allowing, you're letting go and allowing certain elements
mm.
in the medium to also take a little bit of its course, but the way you do it is incredible. It's like, this is beautiful. Let me see if I can enlarge this. Hold on. I think it looks bigger. I hope so, because I cannot see your screen right now. But yeah, so this is an open edition and Walking into the Unknown. Can you talk to us about this work?
Yes, Viviana, the image, the silhouette of the two little ones is a newspaper or news agency photograph of two little ones in a refugee camp. It's an issue. The whole global refugee crisis is very close to my heart. It is just, I can't imagine anybody going through that,
Yes.
anybody see their children suffering like that. It is just unimaginable to me.
Mm,
Um,
I
so
agree.
I think people forget that it's real flesh and blood. It's not just numbers arriving on a coast in a rubber boat and or trying to get over a wall or a fence. It's real people. So it was such a tender photograph, and so I used these silhouettes from the back, walking forward to heaven knows what.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they're in the right place at the right time, maybe it will be a good experience. Um, if you can see, there's a figure with writing on it that I use to symbolize there's these adults who make rules and regulations and forget about the human factor.
Mm.
And we that decides our fate.
Yes, yes.
Um, there's just no room for flexibility and humanity and compassion. So that was, I can't I can't really see my own work here. I remember I used a the skull image of a reindeer as well. I don't think you can really see it in this specific one. And it also has a dual thing, it resembles death, and
Mm.
but the reindeer symbolizes strength as well. And I think this the people in this situation must have so much resilience. I I don't think we have any idea. And then we
Yeah.
don't even talk about winter coming, the pandemic.
Yeah.
It is just unimaginable.
Yeah, they're pretty much taken from their place of origin, from everything they know, from everything they love, from the people they love, from the people they know they're used to seeing every day, from the
Yes,
language they speak
exactly,
sometimes, in place wherever they, you know, with no with no decision. They're just taken from one place to the other sometimes or most of the times.
exactly. You
to a
know,
totally strange world, you know?
yes,
Even when
no
it's an
comfort.
immigration, even when it's in a positive way, like in my case, I came to the US when I was 14. But even when it's positive, there's all these challenges that you go through. So can you imagine these kids?
Yes, no, well, I was a 54, 5 year old when I came to the UK, and it was hard.
Yep,
It was really hard,
yep,
for different reasons, of course. But I mean, if you look at those two, how can you ever think
right.
they are illegals?
Yes,
How on earth do you even think that?
this is beautiful. I love this work. There's something about the pattern on the background. It looks like sacred geometry, and I'm in love with that. It's like the universe, right?
Yes,
Behind everything,
yes.
all there is the universe, and
Mm,
that mesh at the bottom that for me is a reminder of wholeness. It's beautiful.
thank
Wow,
you.
let's explore more. Let's explore. I'm trying to
I think if you press next, or if you want to,
Oh, really? Oh, cool. Yes, yes, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to explore some of them. Let's see. This is the Innocence for. Oh,
yes, that was all. My reference there was also a young girl with her toy, her soft toy, amongst these ruins, and
wow.
I did her in this ghostly image because I think sometimes what's left, well, what's left of the innocence is just a ghost image, a ghost memory. They are just existing.
Yes, that is true.
And you can see she's surrounded by ruins after
Mm.
explosion. And how they make a living, in,
Yes, that's
in
another
this,
one.
amongst those ruins is
This is I mean, you explore that theme so profoundly. Sleeping away.
yes. This also has to do with,
Mm.
um, you know, the
Yeah,
loss, the loss of the children's innocence. And in this instance, it is children in general who suffer either emotional abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse,
yeah,
uh, the injustice that children has to live with. Uh, a thing that not in this specific work, but in some of my works, you also see I do have a lot of commentary about the church and what
mm,
to children, and it's almost on well, definitely on an annual basis that
hmm,
there's discoveries, Canada, Ireland, the Americas, everywhere. The church has, I think, much to say,
yes, I
and
agree on that.
yeah, and to apologize for what they are still doing and did
Yeah,
to children and young women.
I agree on that one. How fragile we are. You are connecting. Do you know how I feel? I feel that I love to explore artists' works to see what part is connecting to the whole, to like humanity. But you are connecting so profoundly with your work. It's like you are feeling, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you are feeling the pain of humanity. You really are. You have that sensitivity to connect to that level.
Hmm.
Mm,
Yes, it's not always easy.
mm-hmm.
I think my work, the kind of criticism that I do get, it's not sellable work. But for me, it's not about selling the work. It is a message that I want to get out there. This work, especially if you look from a distance, you will see it's the Madonna's face,
Yes.
and I superimposed the image of broken dolls over her that again resembles the brokenness of abused children. The Madonna has the the dual purpose of hope and, unfortunately, the church's abuse. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and
Wow.
yeah, it's hard. I had a meeting with a businessman, a businessman in the arts, and he went through my website, and I couldn't help but laugh because he said to me, "You don't have to carry the whole world on your shoulders." And well, that's what it is. That's I can't just make stuff. It it must have
Yeah.
meaning to me, and if it sells, it's great. If it doesn't, um,
Yeah. I don't think we
it's
choose
out of my
that.
system at least, and it's out
Yeah.
there. And I know some people who needs to see it will see it.
Right. Yeah. I think when you're totally committed, in tune, in alignment with your purpose, you can choose that. There's not choosing, I'm not gonna feel this. It's not happening, right? That takes the lead above commercial purposes or anything else. That takes the lead. And
Mm,
I am pretty sure that this is quite amazing work. I love your work.
thank you.
Um, I disagree with the fact that, that with whoever is saying it's not sellable. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people who are watching, you guys, who are out there, are probably agreeing with me, because we buy the artwork that we connect with. So it is all a connection. It really is,
Mm,
right? If you get something, is you're bringing that energy home with you.
mm,
You're bringing a reminder. You're bringing a cause. There's people out there who feel the way you feel
mm,
about children. There's children. There's adults
mm,
who have been abused children,
exactly.
and they're connecting.
Mm,
And this is a healing source, because I tell you what, this is the simple acknowledgement of that situation in your art. It's healing for anyone that's gone through that situation. So the fact that you are acknowledging and giving a voice, I feel that that's healing, right? I tell you by experience, because
thank
I
you.
was one of those children. So
Yes, yes.
yeah.
Um, I think what experience taught me in 2007, I had an exhibition. The whole theme was um, what did I call the exhibition? But anyway, it was about child abuse in general, all kinds of abuse, and my focus was children and the injustice against them.
Hmm.
One thing that and now that you say it, one thing that I did not take in consideration was those children grow up.
Yeah.
And that evening, it was it was a humbling experience in the sense that so many people came to me afterwards. I had one image where I used this child. I used one image of one child in a few situations, and the one had a bandage around his mouth. That meant he is not allowed to speak. There's no place to speak. And a few people came to me and said to me, "That's me. That's me." That when I was a child. Um, so that was it confirmed to me that sometimes work get a life of their own.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
have the one meaning, and that's the beauty for me, is that somebody else will come and another element that
Yeah.
I didn't even focus on talks to them and relate to something in their past or their presence. And that's what I love about art, is that it gets a life of its own.
It does. It
Mhm.
does. I think this type of work is such a healing source. I mean, I think one of the worst thing that happens to anyone, or especially children, is that they cannot speak. They cannot express what's happening.
Mm.
And remember that we carry that child with us all our life.
Yes.
So seeing it is, it's knowing that somebody saw it, you saw it,
Mm.
and you share the message. And that's the beauty of art, is sharing that message, whatever it is, bringing it out there and connecting. And then here we have something else, and this is beautiful. I love the colors. I love the colors.
Oh, thank
It's
you.
always connecting to nature and humanity, right?
Yes, yes.
That's your, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
my
your
purpose.
theme.
Mm.
Wonderful, wonderful. So talk to us about what's happening, because let me bring you back. I'm gonna stop the share for a minute here, so I can see your face. And there's exhibitions coming up. There's a lot coming up now, so let's chat about that. Do you want to start with what's coming up in October? Do you have events coming up in October and November, right?
Yes, I have the Florence Biennale at, I think, the 23rd of October. Yes, so many travel arrangements just to go for a few days. Nothing is easy anymore. Yes, I'm looking forward to that. I think that's going to be a great experience. And thanks to you, I learn how to put myself out there, and I try to be very brave, and I will face the people. Usually,
You
I
do
will.
it great. You do
Yes,
it great. So
I usually want to hide behind the table if the people approach, but I'm getting there slowly but steadily. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then there's an art fair in November in Budapest that I'm participating in, and the that's actually for a private talk between me and you. The December one, I'm not going to
mhm.
pursue that one.
Okay,
Yes,
okay,
I went. Yes, I went to Lisbon. I went to the gallery and everything felt wrong.
okay. No, and that's, oh,
I'm,
that's a good thing that you mentioned
I'm
that.
fortunately I'm old enough to trust my gut. I'm not going to do
Intuition.
that to myself. Yeah.
Good, good that you mentioned that, because that's like it's we have an internal
Mm,
compass
mm,
that is guiding us,
totally. When
and
I
you're
never had,
connected.
yes, I never had a feeling like that before. I en-
Yes.
yeah, to start with, I couldn't find the place. I walked past it. I mean, it's a gallery. I walked past it quite a few times. I still didn't see it. When we eventually realized this is it and we entered, after you have to ring the bell, everything was wrong.
Mm,
I can't describe the feeling, and I just knew I have to get
yeah.
out of this. I will do it in a very civilized way. I
Yes.
don't. I hate doing something like that. I hate commit myself and not go through with this, but I can't justify the money, the effort. Um, yes, and it's a time anyway that my daughter from South Africa is here, and I would rather spend my time with her than
Yes.
doing something for my CV that's not going to be worth it.
Wow,
Nobody,
that's
nobody who
powerful.
needs to see it is going to see it.
That's powerful.
Mm,
I thank you so much for sharing that so openly, Lizzie, because sometimes, and that's one of the things that I share with artists, is like you can't be running from one place to another
mm,
without a goal, without direction, just
mm,
because you don't really need to do anything. There's
mm,
no I have to do this. It's more about this is what I aim to do, this is my goal, my purpose, and this what I'm doing, or this decision or exhibition, is going to serve that purpose. But
yes.
other than that, if you don't feel it,
Mm-mm,
don't do it.
mm-mm,
And I usually say take 3 seconds before you make that decision. 3 seconds, because you feel it right away. You
yes.
feel it, count to three, and if you keep thinking, you might take the wrong decision, because we start,
Yes.
reasoning. No, I should do this,
Exactly.
or
Yes. I
and
just go back.
distract the voice that is like screaming
Yes.
at you,
Yes. I
right?
just go back to that feeling. The physical feeling. And
Yes,
it doesn't lie.
it's there. It's there.
Mhm,
Oh, thank you for sharing.
mhm.
Thank you for sharing. You have such courage. I love that. And guided by intuition, powerful woman.
Lots of lessons along the way.
Yes, 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 yes. But I'm just happy. I'm just happy to have you, happy to work with you, to be showcasing your works too, and that people get to appreciate you. Had somebody was actually putting a comment that I want to acknowledge. I have not acknowledged any comments. Guys, I'm sorry about that. David, thank you. David said, oh, this is Julie. I'm speechless being be seeing this masterpiece. Thank you, Julie. I am a mother. I really feel you, Lizzie. You are an inspiration. Thank you for sharing. I'm really in touch. Oh, this is
That's
beautiful. Thank
beautiful.
you.
Thank you so much.
Crystal, I love all the paintings of yours, Lizzie. Oh,
Oh,
thank
that's
you, guys.
thank you. That's
Yeah, thank you. This is beautiful.
great confirmation.
Yes.
Yes. Thank
Who
you.
is this, Sandra? You're so strong. Having those past experiences, you have the great courage to overcome through it all and convert it into a beautiful artwork. Wow.
Well,
Yeah,
thank
that
you for
was
sharing that.
beautiful.
Mm.
And then I have one in Spanish. Es un placer conocerte. Saludos desde Colombia. So they're sending, thank you, Mile. They're sending hi from Colombia.
Oh, thank you. I
So
must
you
own.
know that we're like everywhere. You know, that's the great thing about social media.
Yeah,
That's
instant.
wonderful.
Mm.
Well, thank you so much, Lizzie, for this time. This is not gonna be the last interview. We have so much more to chat. Oh my goodness, yeah, there's a lot to share about your work. I think I'll tell you off cameras. I'm not gonna say it now. I'm not gonna say it now. It's gonna be a secret, guys. So it'll be news next time we meet Lizzie on Heart to Heart. But I'll tell you off cameras. And if there's something that you would like to share with the audience before you go,
Hmm. No, I just think the messages that you've shared with me, Viviana, is confirmation that I must continue what I'm doing. I
yes,
will probably not going to put a lot of bread on the table in the process, but
yes,
it brings so much satisfaction to voice on behalf of the voiceless in a visual way. And yes, I will always feel for the underdog. I will always fight for them. Doesn't matter how or yep.
wonderful. Thank you so much for that. That's a big commitment. That's a beautiful, beautiful purpose and reason for creating. So I thank you for that. For those voiceless, I really I thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And thanks everybody for watching. You are seeing right now Liz's website. It's there and it's going to be on the comments as well. And as always, I tell you support the artists and support the arts. Visit the website. Let the artists know what you think because it's always gratifying to hear your voices, to hear your feedback,
Mm.
your comments. It's always something positive for the artist. So don't forget to support the arts. Thanks, Lizzie. Thank you, guys. Don't forget, you know what I'm going to say now. Don't forget, stay inspired.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone who listened in. I appreciate it.